What up though, ladies and gents? Welcome back to session 5 of our sexual education all-inclusive course. So today's session we're going to be talking about safe sex and an introduction to STDs. You're probably used to hearing that safe sex is the best sex. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that it's true. The practice of safe sex is the usage of condoms and having knowledge of your own health and your partner's health. It's the best possible way to have sex while helping yourself to avoid contracting an STD, STI, or an unwanted pregnancy. Some of you guys may be thinking, well, I don't need protection. My pullout game is strong. Well, unfortunately, your pullout game isn't always reliable, nor is it safe. Let's start this off by discussing the use of a condom and how the pullout game can be more times than not ineffective. There are two different types of condoms. The first one is a standard condom where you roll a rubber-like film over your genitalia. This condom is made by latex, polyethylene, or a synthetic material. Then there's the female condom. This condom is essentially a long plastic pouch made of latex-free material called nitrile. You use this condom by inserting it into the vagina. The rings of the condom will hold it in place once inserted and lines itself along the vaginal wall. Much like the standard condom, this condom collects any fluids or semen secreted by another person. So since there are people out there who are on birth control and some may think that they don't have to use a condom because they're on birth control, remember, birth control only protects you from pregnancy. It does not protect you from an STD or an STI. In saying that, having intercourse is not the only way to obtain an STI or STD, but before we get into that, let's take a look at exactly what an STD and STI is. An STD is a sexually transmitted disease, while an STI is a sexually transmitted infection. Both of these can be used interchangeably. As you see by the names that they are given, they're transmitted through the acts of sex. However, there are some that can be transmitted through giving birth or not through sex at all. So let's look at some of the STIs or STDs that exist. First, we're going to be looking at bacterial vaginosis. While it isn't an STD or an STI, it is important and it should be talked about and is transferred like an STD and STI. Bacterial vaginosis, or BV, only occurs in women, but men can be carriers of the bacterial infection if they have unprotected sex with a person who does have BV. What it is a condition that occurs when there's too much of a certain bacteria in the vagina. While there is no known direct cause for this imbalance of good and bad bacteria, it is linked to having multiple sex partners if you are having unprotected sex, as well as douching. On to chlamydia, or some people may know it by the street name, the clap, is a very common STI that infects both men and women. For women, it can cause serious and permanent damage to the reproductive system if left untreated. It is spread by having sex, vaginally, anally, or even oral, with someone who has it. Yes, even if you wear a condom, you may contract this infection. So it's best to be honest with yourself and your partner. Go get tested, make sure that you're not carrying an infection that you can give to somebody else. Next is gonorrhea. This is an STD that infects both men and women. The infection sites of gonorrhea can include genitals, the rectum, and the throat. Like chlamydia, you can contract it by having sex vaginally, anally, or orally with someone else who has it. A pregnant person can give the infection to their baby during birth. Then there's hepatitis. There are 5 different forms of hepatitis, all that include infection of the liver. For hepatitis A, or HAV, it is vaccine preventable and is transferred through fecal oral route, or mouth to anus, or the consumption of contaminated food and water. For hepatitis B, which is caused by hepatitis B virus, or HBV, this is transmitted through blood, semen, or other bodily fluids of a person who is infected to a person who is not. For some people, Hep B is short-term, where for others it can be a long-term chronic infection. Hep C is caused by the hepatitis C virus, or HCV. It's a blood-borne virus, so the only way you can contract it is by coming into contact with the blood of someone who has it. As for hepatitis D and E, hepatitis D is essentially like hepatitis C, but hepatitis E, you're more likely to recover fully from it without any complications. Then there's HPV, or human papillomavirus. It's the most common STI. This virus comes in many different forms. Some types can cause genital warts or cancer, but there are vaccines to help prevent this virus from being acquired. It is spread through vaginal, anal, or oral sex with someone else who has it. A person who is affected may not show symptoms like with most STIs or STDs. As for the STDs that won't go away but are treatable, there is HIV/AIDS and herpes. First, I would like to say HIV/AIDS is rarer than most people realize, and that if you know someone with it, please don't be rude or disrespectful towards them. HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus, is a virus spread through certain bodily fluids that attacks the body's immune system. HIV causes AIDS, but unfortunately no cure exists for either. But there are medications and treatments to help contain and maintain this virus and slow its progression. The next one is also one of the most common STDs, herpes. Of herpes, there are 3 types: genital herpes, oral herpes, and chickenpox. Yes, chickenpox is a strain of the herpes virus. Herpes itself is a virus called herpes simplex virus 1, or HSV1, and herpes simplex virus 2, or HSV2. Oral herpes is HSV1, which can cause cold sores or fever blisters on or around the mouth. Most people do not have symptoms. Most people also contract oral herpes as a child from non-sexual contact with saliva, like drinking off of someone or eating after them. Genital herpes can also be caused by HSV1 if the person has oral sex with someone who has oral herpes. But genital herpes is typically caused by HSV2, which would be coming in genital contact of someone with genital herpes. To bust some of the myths out there, you cannot get herpes from toilet seats, bedding, swimming pools, or by simply touching things around you. If you are sexually active, you can reduce your risk of contracting it by wearing a condom, as well as being tested. There are also medicines to help keep herpes at bay so they do not affect your daily life or someone else's. But if you have it, you should still be honest with yourself and your partners. The last thing that we're going to look at is PID, or pelvic inflammatory disease. This is caused by untreated STDs. This is only in women, while men can be carriers. It is an infection of the reproductive organs. STDs that are linked to PID are chlamydia and gonorrhea. Other infections that are not STDs can also cause PID. Now that we know what STDs and STIs are, let's circle back around to practicing safer sex. These viruses and infections are honestly more than enough reason to practice safe sex. It is also more than enough reason, if you are sexually active with more than one person, that you should be tested regularly to make sure that you're healthy. For most of these, there are treatments to either get rid of or to maintain so that it doesn't run your life. So let's recap and shut down some myths and stigmas. Safe sex is practicing the use of condoms to protect yourself from STDs, STIs, and unwanted pregnancies. There are myths about BV and letting it go untreated that it will have no effect on your health. But if left untreated, it can increase your risk of having an STI, as well as PID. You cannot get herpes or HIV from simply sitting on the toilet, bedding, a swimming pool, or touching someone or something. Just because you have either of these viruses or infections does not mean you're less of a person or a hoe. A lot of these STDs are treatable and have treatments to assist in maintaining. Another myth is that you can avoid STDs or contracting an STD by having oral or anal sex. Well, as you just learned, that's not true. The transmission of STDs are through skin contact if there is a breakout in that area, through bodily fluids such as saliva, anal fluid, vaginal fluid, pre-ejaculate, or semen. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Stay tuned for part 2, which goes into depth and solely focuses on STDs. There are many more that are to be talked about, so remember to wrap it up, and there's no such thing as too much lube. Stay safe out there.